Hi, this is Teresa Bennett, the Analyst Coach. And recently I've had several people come to me with questions about requirement sessions. I've had some people purchase one of my recorded webinars on that. I've had people that have joined recent classes that are specifically joining because they have questions or need help with how to be more confident and prepared for their requirements elicitation sessions. So I wanted to put together this quick video just to, give you a little bit of information that may be helpful with you if you're looking for some info on that too. So I'm going to just jump right in here and get started with the presentation. So when you have a new project, what should you do? You've been assigned to a new project and you need to hold your first requirement session. So some things I will tell you that you need to consider is that you obviously need to know who the players are, right? Who do you need to invite? Who do you need to get requirements from? Who needs to be included? Obviously, you need to schedule the meeting. You need to prepare an agenda. You're going to have to lead that meeting. You'll also need to be able to take notes while you're leading the meeting. And then you should also always send out a recap of the meeting notes, the requirements that you took. Give people an opportunity to review the information that you took down and help you with making corrections, adding things that maybe you left out. So sending out a recap of the meeting is really important for you to make sure that you're capturing everything that you should have captured during the session. So let's look at a project. We'll do just a quick look at a small project. So here's some background. Our employees frequently stay in the office during breaks and lunchtime. We have given them a convenient way to obtain beverages throughout the day. We have soda machines and break rooms on every floor, and we also have a coffee shop in the lobby. Each floor has 2 soda machines. There's 1 break room on each floor, and then in each break room there's 2 soda machines. So that's a total of 10 machines. The soda machines only accept one format of payment, cash. People can pay using paper or coin money or a combination of both. The cost of a drink from the machine is currently $1.25. Here's our project request. We want to add 2 new forms of payment for users of the soda machines. We want to give people the ability to pay using a credit or debit card and the ability to pay using their employee badge. Any charges using their employee badge will accumulate and be deducted each pay period from their paycheck. So now let's look at this. This is all you know about the project, right? This is it. You're going to have your first requirements meeting and you're trying to find out, what the requirements are related to being able to add these 2 new forms of payment to the soda machines. So the first thing, one of the things that you want to think about is, I talk about this a lot about assumptions and about not making assumptions. However, there are times, of course, that you should make assumptions, but you always want to verify those assumptions, right? So one of the things that came to mind for me with this project was I can't see where in the scope of this project that there would be any changes to the current process for taking cash payments. That seems obvious to me. Like, we're still going to take cash payments. There isn't going to be any change in the way they do it. They put the money in the machine takes the money, spits out some change if change is needed, and people go on their merry way, right? But you want to just ask that question, just verify that assumption, right? So put it in the documentation that it's an assumption. In your first requirement session, you can just say, hey, I've made the assumption that we're not changing the current process for taking cash payments. Is that correct? Right? And just get everybody to, say yes, or if it's not correct and there actually is a change to how we're taking cash payments, then somebody needs to explain the reasoning behind that. The next thing that you want to do is think about what questions you might need to ask as part of, as part of your first session, right? So we're saying we're having our first requirement session, and this is where I get a lot of questions from my clients is, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to talk about. it's my first session or it's my first session for this project. And every time I have a first session for a new project, I'm always thinking, what do I talk about? I don't know where to start. So where I always start is looking at that scope of the project, right? Which I'm going to go back here. Here's our scope. It's our project request, right? And it's pretty basic when you look at this, right? We want to be able to take the soda machine to take credit and debit card payments, and we want to be able to, employees to be able to pay by badge as well. So it seems pretty simple, but put some thought into that and say, okay, what kind of questions might I have about this? And in doing that, I listed out some things that came to mind for me. So I haven't talked to anybody yet. This is just first thought in my own head about it. So when we're deducting payments from the paycheck, will the funds be deducted before or after taxes from the paychecks? What types of credit cards are we going to accept, right? If we can't just make the blanket statement that we're taking credit cards, because there are lots of different ones out there, right? So are we going to take Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover? I don't know. Those are the ones that come to me off the top of my head as the kind of main ones, but there's plenty of other ones out there too. And what type of debit cards? And you might think, why does that even matter? But what came to me was, for example, Visa gift cards, right? So you know how you can go to the store and you can buy a Visa gift card that has, say, a limit of $25 on it? Those cards can be used as PIN-based transactions. Like that Visa gift card comes with a PIN number so that people are able to, make purchases online and things like that. And are we going to allow them to not just use, say, their bank debit card, but also the Visa gift cards? And the reason that I think that needs to be discussed is because a gift card has a set limit on it, right? So let's say you've used it all except for $1, and we know that the price of a soda right now is $1.25. So if we're going to allow them to use a gift card, then we have to make sure that the transaction is getting processed right then, not something that's going to get processed later, and the transaction will get declined because there isn't enough money available on that Visa gift card. That's just thoughts that are going through my head. So I would ask that question. Do we already have a merchant processor for processing credit card transactions, or will that need to be set up as part of this project? If the company already sells some sort of products or something, they may already have a merchant processor to process those payments, but if not, they're going to need to have one, right? You don't just swipe a card and the whole money getting transferred between people happens. There has to be a mechanism in order to do that, and that merchant processor is what does that. What information will they need to enter to process a card transaction? So I'm thinking maybe their zip code, like you do at gas stations. And I told you I put this together really fast, and you can see here I misspelled that, so I'll fix gas. I was just thinking thinking through that process that I do when I'm buying gas at the gas station, right? We don't want people to have to enter when you're buying something online and you have to enter your name, your address, the complete address, all that. Obviously, we don't want somebody to have to go through that when they're buying a soda from a soda machine, right? But we do need to have something there to help prevent fraud, right? So zip code seems to me like a good option, but we want to ask that question. We don't want to make up the requirements as the BAs, right? And do we want to allow multiple forms of payment for one transaction? So do we want to be able to split between multiple cards? If so, what's the max number of cards? Assuming this is a no. I'm going to assume that they're going to say, no, we only want people to be able to use one card because it's a low-cost item, right? It's only $1.25. Why should they have to split it between two cards? However, that brought up another thought for me. If people are buying multiple sodas, say for a team meeting, right? They ordered in pizza, but they didn't order into anything to drink, and now they need to go buy 20 sodas, then it may no longer be a low-priced item, right? Now we're moving into the $30 price range, which then also brought up the question to me of, hey, wait a minute, what about just multiple sodas? What if I want to buy 2 sodas? So do we want to make them pay per soda, or do we want to allow them to select multiple sodas, then pay, then disperse all the sodas? So in other words, allow multiple products in one transaction. And if so, is there a limit on the number of sodas for one purchase, or a limit on the dollar amount for one purchase? Those would be some of the questions that would come to mind for me that we would need to ask about in our requirement session. And the other thing is some considerations. So like the thing about the merchant processor, you could maybe put that under considerations instead if you wanted to. But some other things that need to be, considerations are just kind of those things that need to be talked about or discussed that might have an impact on the project. So that's why the merchant processor account question could go under the considerations section. And then another example I thought of was, would we need some sort of, we definitely would need a card reader on the machine that would take credit or debit payments. So that may require that we purchase new types of soda machines that already have that functionality built into them. Or it could be that whoever supplies our soda machines has a card reader that they can attach to the machine and set it up in that way. We just don't know. We have to find that out. So that's a consideration. And then another consideration that I don't have on here that comes to mind is if we're going to take payments by payroll deduction, then obviously we would need to have some sort of card reader on the machine as well to read the person's badge, right? If we're saying that we want them to be able to use their badge in order to use the payroll deduction function, then we need a badge reader on the machine as well. So that would be another thing that would go in here under the considerations. So this is really just kind of a quick and dirty video that I made because of the recent questions that I got asked. So I really hope that this helps you with putting some thoughts around starting your requirement session and thinking through questions that you have to kind of get the ball rolling with your first requirement session. And if you want to learn more about requirements elicitation, you might want to consider my Mastering Business Analysis Fundamentals course. It's a live interactive 12-week course that's delivered via webinar, and you can contact me if you want more details on joining that class. There's also a page on my website that has the information about it, and the link is here on this video. And I would really love to have you join us if you feel like this class would be a benefit to you. So you can either contact me or go to the class page and get more information about the Mastering Business Analysis Fundamentals course.